A visit to the gardens at Levens Hall is like taking a walk back through history. It's the best, the oldest, and certainly the most extensive topiary garden in Britain. Some of these shrubs and trees were planted more than 300 years ago, and the layout has barely changed since the 1690s. Some of the planting may change and the topiary gets clipped, but above all there's a real sense of continuity with this garden that links the past with the present and the future. Nestling in the northern topiary garden is a small house, which is where the history of the garden begins. This was built for the original designer of the garden, a Monsieur Guillaume Beaumont, back in 1690, and it's still their head gardener's house today. Since Monsieur Beaumont designed the gardens, there have only been 10 head gardeners. Currently occupying the title with a mere 15 years at Levens is Chris Crowder. Well, some of the topiary shapes are extraordinary. I mean, how much are you allowed to change those?
Well, they are amazing. Certainly some of them have been here 300 years, and basically we go around the outlines of the oldest and the biggest ones, but we are planting young ones of our own, and there's about a dozen down there that it's our generation that forms that shape, and the generations to come will have to follow our outlines. Most of them haven't got names, they're all different of course, there's about 100 of them. But the great umbrellas, these huge ones above our heads, ideal for sheltering on a wet day.
Now all I can see actually is this sea of bedding, all these people working on it.
Yeah.
How many bedding plants do you estimate you put in every year?
I don't know, it's about 10 or 15,000, and of course we change it twice a year, so we've been through the beds already, pulling all the spring pansies and tulips out, and it stocks this summer.
Well, I'd love to stay and help you plant all these, but actually even better than that, I'd like to go and see the rest of the garden, so...
Oh. OK, we'll go for a walk.
Well, the first thing that strikes me actually is just how strong the garden is in terms of structure.
It certainly is. These great beech hedges running off into the distance in this direction.
How old do you think these are?
Before my time, before anybody's time, possibly 300 years old. We're certainly on a map of 1730. And you can see how gnarled these shapes have become, these pieces of beech, as we've clipped them year by year. And of course, how full of holes they are now. They're coming to the end of their natural lives, and it's a wonder some of them stand up, really.
It's a fantastic structure. It's almost like a cathedral with bits of light just coming through where the gaps in the leaves.
Yeah.
And then you just come out into the light again.
Yeah, this is known as the beech circle, and in a way it's a quiet, still spot in between the big hits of the borders that way and the borders that way.
What is it, do you think, for visitors today that they love about the garden?
I think when they first come in, they're absolutely gobsmacked at the sight of this topiary, its age, its size and the extent of it all. It's such a visual feast. But then I hope when they go around the rest of the gardens, they actually find a huge interest really in the borders. There's a lot beyond this particular patch of garden, as we've seen. It's also on a reasonable scale. It's only 6 or 8 acres, the entire garden, so comparisons can be made with home borders.
This is the man, isn't it? Monsieur Beaumont, gardener to King James II. He laid out the gardens at Hampton Court Palace and at Levens, so... And
at many other places, we believe, but Levens is the only survivor. Although it's got such a huge sense of history, it doesn't hang heavily round our necks. It's our garden to do with now, and next year it's actually always developing, so it's a living garden right into the future.